Hi, everyone. I hope you had a nice weekend. Saturday was beautiful, so I hope you guys were able to get out and enjoy the weather. Well, let's look and see what we have here for week 3. You want to click on the pink folder, Online Imperialism Review Lesson 3 for week April 6th through the 10th. Remember, this is a 4-day week. You guys have Friday off. It's conference comp day, so enjoy your 3-day weekend. For this week, we're going to finally upload those answers to your imperialism test and your essay. So you want to upload that by Wednesday, 11:59 p.m. AP exam update. So they finally, on Friday, released all their information. We already knew it was going to be online, but now they've told us that it's going to be on May 13th at 4 o'clock for our Euro test. And it's going to be a modified DBQ. Still 45 minutes, but they've changed the rubric a little bit. We're going to talk about the rubric here in a moment. Looking ahead to our next unit, it's going to be World War I. And hey, by the way, we actually had a DBQ we were going to write for World War I, so this is perfect. Your readings, depending on the textbook you chose, KI is Kishlansky. So if you are using the Kishlansky book, here are the page numbers. If you're using Kagan, here's your page numbers for the Kagan book. Vocab notebook, I included the vocab. I believe there's maybe 32 vocab for this time. So see below for that PDF. We are going to watch a Great War series for our videos. And we'll have some PDFs and PowerPoints that will go along for our notes. Our DBQ will actually focus on the impact the World War had on women and their role in society. And it's a pretty cool one. I thought it had some really good documents in it. So let's backtrack a little bit. Well, okay, before we backtrack. So we're going to start that Monday, April 13th. But I did include the readings and the vocab for anyone who was bored and you wanted to get a jump start on it. But the other stuff, I'm not going to start posting until the week of the 13th and actually start giving like due dates on things until then. So let's jump down to that modified rubric to see what changes they made. And it's going to take a little bit. All right, here we go. So looking at this rubric, we see that it is now a 10-point rubric. So your thesis, still the same. Still have to have your thesis. It still needs to show original thought, and it needs to answer the prompt, the question. So you need to make sure that you're including your thoughts on what you're going to write about in your actual paper. Contextualization, the broader historical context, same thing that we've always had in our LEQs and the same thing we've had in our DBQs. Remember, you can set up that context in your intro by providing those, 2 sentences that actually sets the foundation, provides that little background knowledge. So that's great to have that there. Looking down here in part C, this is up to 5 points for evidence. So you have a variety of ways here. Evidence from the documents, same as before. You have to use the information, and remember, you can't just mention it. You can't lump documents together without actually explaining them separately. So your first point, you use the content from 2 documents. That will get you 2. Or support an argument to the prompt using those 2 documents, and then an argument using 4 documents. So when you look over on this side, to earn the 1 point, you must accurately describe rather than quoting. To earn 2 points, you have to accurately describe rather than quoting 2 documents, and the response must use the content of the documents to support your prompt. To go for 3 points, you're going to have to do this in 4 documents, because this time around, under this modified DBQ, you're only going to have 5 documents instead of the normal 7. So they've eliminated 2 documents. So this is how you get your 3 points for evidence from the actual documents. We still have the evidence beyond the documents. So bringing in an additional piece of a specific historical, evidence. So when you're looking, let's say we're looking at the World War I and women documents. This is looking at the women during this period. Well, you could bring out information about women prior to that, or you can bring about changes that will happen years later after the war for women. So bringing in that extra piece of evidence that's not being stated within those documents. You also have describe a second piece of specific historical evidence that's relevant to the actual question. So again, making sure you're pulling these items in. For 2020, this point will be awarded for students who use a second piece outside. So hey, you could do the before and you can do the after, the time frame that your documents are focusing on. Instead of just doing one, provide both. Get yourself those 2 points. Analysis and reasoning. All right, so now this is where we bring in that point of view, the historical context, the purpose, historical situation, and remember, you're only using the documents that you can pull this information from. So you have to use one document to explain how or why the document's point of view, purpose, historical situation, or audience is relevant to an argument. Key here, you actually do need to give the how or the why. And I highly recommend to actually bring in those terms. So-and-so's point of view, blah, 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 and base it, why do they feel that way? Or the purpose of this document, blah, 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 and bring that in. For 2020, only 1 point will be awarded for students who provide sourcing for one document relevant to an argument rather than the 3 that was originally required. And you can get a second point for providing 2 documents. So, hey, if you feel confident with 2 documents, doing this with 2, go for it. Search for that second document there. I would recommend possibly doing 3 if you have the chance, in case you mess one up. Then you actually have that safety net there. And then we have a point down here. Demonstrate a complex understanding of the historical development that is the focus of the prompt, using evidence that corroborates, qualifies, or modifies an argument that addresses the question. Remember, this is our synthesis. That stuff is still here. What can you bring in? How's this, what's this similar to in another time period, or, however you're wanting to do it. So it's the same stuff we've always been doing. They've just modified it just a bit. All right, so we're back on our page. You have any questions, email me. I'm always here. And remember the test, which I know some of you have been holding on, completed for a while. It needs to be uploaded by Wednesday. And I will check back later in a week. You'll get another video from me to actually see how things are doing and to address any questions that may have come my way. All right, have one.